our number one series. The Last of Us. I don't know why it took so long.
Yeah.
I was also reading Owen's little joke over here. That's a good one,
Nice
bro.
one.
Shout out that
Good
one.
pun.
Put that in the pod. Last of Us. What is there to say? It's I got one. It's good. That's it.
I agree.
Watch it.
It is good. Yeah. Okay. So
I agree.
Let's.
Thanks to the Intercuties for watching. Next week we will have the week of must watch. What is there not to say, dude? It's just fantastic. We're gonna need to do a whole spoiler one, but convince
I
them.
do
If for
wanna
whatever
ask you-
reason they haven't, convince them.
Well, before we get there, I do want to ask you this: how do you feel like your experience with the games is affecting your watch of the show? Because that's been the thing that I've been trying to track. Because the show, it really is this incredibly tense, incredibly effective zombie drama. Where you see what happens to humanity at a desperate point. But we've seen that all before. They're following the script of the Last of Us game. So what is it about the show that is making that experience different or better or maybe muted for you?
I'll go off by saying I love both of them. I think the game is the first one game is one of my favorites of all time. I just found my original copy for the PS3 last night because I found out my mom was
Nice.
watching the show as well. I told her, I was like, you got to play this. She's like, I'll beat it in a week. I'm like, no, you won't, Mom. But the game is a masterpiece. And I think the way they're adapting the show also allows it to be its own masterpiece. The way that they're able to have these intro bumpers to a degree, I think has been able to expand on the game in certain ways, the lore of it, to not just take what is the fungus in the game, but to also apply some real world scenarios to it, to flesh out some of the characters in a way where they're changing kind of how it plays out in the game, which I've been loving seeing when people have been compiling how it is in the show to how it is in the game. And you have several moments where I do think they flop. There is a sequence where a character holds a gun for the first time. That's all I'll say, right? The way the show does it is good, but the way the game does it was better. But then the next episode, they'll have another character who's a new character who comes in. The way that character ends in the game is devastating. Yet I had to give the win to the show. So it's been a really great balance of having wins for the game. Oh, I think they did it better over there, right? You sound like a book fan. The video game just was able to tell the story in a better way. But there's some adaptations that they take, some liberties in where they're like, the character who they needed a car battery from. Yeah, they were only like 30 minutes in the game. But what if we did an entire film? A whole episode that is just a movie dedicated to this person's story. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's incredible. I do think they've been just a little overbearing on some things. That's where I will critique it. There are some sequences where the game is just going to be better, maybe because you're actively involved in it. But I think that they're also framed better in the game. I think that there are some CGI things that they're flaking on a little bit here and there in the middle episodes. It's still good. It's HBO. You can patch them up. They had a lot of social commentary that was a lot more subtle in the game. Right off the bat, you hear talks of global warming. You're in communes. you're talking about different things dealing with the characters that I don't want to spoil. And I think they were able to package it a little bit better in the game. That the writing, maybe because it's a series, has to say it to you.
Well, I don't know if
but
the
it hasn't
series
taken
has
anything
to
away.
say it to you. I agree. Like maybe
Hey,
they're
you have
being
like
a little
characters
bit...
who break down stuff that they wouldn't.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's coming from the
thing.
writer.
And I feel like sometimes it's maybe explains a couple things that we don't need explaining, and maybe that's a credit to the world building of the show, that it feels so lived in already that like I feel like I don't need an explanation of like is a commune communist and stuff like that. But
It's like why are we stopping, bro? Keep the show going. It reminds me of that Ant-Man thing with socialism when the most capitalists company around just stops Michael Douglas, who I only know is his biggest line being greed, going, socialism. I'm like, what are y'all doing, bro? Come on. Bro, y'all don't know how to market your own movements like that. But besides those little things in the show, I agree right here with what Ricardo's saying. Having played the game, why am I still tense? Why am I still sad for people who are gone? That's an effective adaptation.
Episode 5, I think, was the high point of the show so far to me.
Is that the one where they meet the duo?
Yeah,
and his brother?
And the decision
the guy and the brother? That was the one where they did it better in the show.
Yeah, the decision to make them or make the younger brother deaf as well. I heard Craig Mazin talking about that in the interview that plays after the episode, and just because it's this extra step that means he's reliant on his brother is so smart and so devastating. The show at its best.
Easily.
There are times where I kind of feel a little bit of a drag because it feels so familiar, and I feel like we are going through so many of the beats that I've seen before. Like a lot of times I'm watching it and I'm feeling like, oh, now I want to go play the game, and I don't know if that's always the best reaction to a TV show, even though I'm like really I'm compelled by it. There are, like you're saying, I think there are times when the TV show is able to take this really interesting world and deepen it and expand on it and show you a little bit more of people's personalities and their histories and the stuff.
Yes,
all
sir.
the cold opens to me are the parts where the show really shines, because they drop you into a new part of the world and open your eyes a little bit more. When the show maybe is trying to be ultra faithful, it's less exciting for me because like I've seen it before.
Okay, that's fair. I'm like you. Sometimes I'll be watching them move around, and you realize how much of it is like the game, where you have to set up something and prepare it and get it ready.
Like even
I've
what she does to lift her up is straight out of the game. When the boss
there's times when he's
comes
running,
out
I
in
want to
episode
craft. I'm trying to
5,
craft. Yes, yeah, and there are moments like that where it's like, you know, you could decide which one you have a preference for, who did it better. But I can see the tension there wavering a bit. There was one aspect of it towards the middle of it where you're kind of building up to kind of maybe divert from the game, or almost change around some of the cutscenes that were happening in the video game to how they're doing it in the movie. Or sorry, the movie. It does come off like a movie because all the episodes are so long. But in terms of our two main actors, do you feel that they've kept the essence of what you had in the game, since the game already has had part 1 and 2?
Yeah, I love the performances we're getting from Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. I think they're somehow both able to be true to the Joel and Ellie that I remember from the video games, but also, like we were saying, deepen them, give them new shades to the personality, make them feel more like living, breathing characters rather than, you know, like avatars for our controllers to move around. I don't know if they've had the moment where I want to like bump them up into like they should be front runners for the Emmys or anything like that, but I think they've both been extremely solid on the show.
Bella had a really good moment at the end of 5.
Yeah,
She grew up at the end of 5. That one was sick.
5 and 6 were big for her.
Yeah, so we'll see. Do you know how many in total it is for season 1? I think they already got greenlit for 2.
I think it's 9 episodes for season 1 because it's ending again while we're in South by Southwest.
Damn, dude, look at these scores. Clean score. Okay, I'm glad everyone agrees with this one. Okay, I had not checked the score for this. This one has stuck with me, dude. This one has stuck with me. Especially because it's been very interesting how we've been playing it. I bought part 1, so Alina's playing it for the first time. If you played it originally, the PS5 part 1 update, the remastered, unreal. It's so good. So we've kind of been watching an episode. She's been playing it. Sometimes she'll play the storyline right before it happens. For episode 5, she saw the show before it happened, and yeah, we both agreed the way the show handled it was way better. So it's been really fun.
I mean, really fun. That ending in particular is like you feel like in the shoes of the character so much and how devastating them. It's so good.
That actor literally killed it.